purpose of my speech tonight is to really try to give you some updates on things that are happening within the constabulary, to let you know what we're doing as neighbourhood policing, but the bigger picture of where the constabulary is going to a degree, a few new faces within the environment. And then obviously an opportunity to ask any questions you've got, whether it's local problems or anything bigger, and if I can answer them, I'll do it straight away. Otherwise I'll see if I can find out the answer and provide you with an answer at a later date. Just to start off with, I don't know if you're aware, we have a new Chief Constable that's joined the team. Our previous Chief Constable has gone to Avon and Somerset, and Olivia Pinkney, who actually spent her initial policing time in Avon and Somerset and then got promoted to Assistant Chief Constable with Sussex Constabulary, has won the position of the new Chief Constable for Hampshire Constabulary. She's been in post only probably a couple of months, and obviously finding her feet with regards to the job, and probably going to be making her mark how she wants a constabulary to run, new austerity cuts and new directions, etc. So that's a new face at the head of our constabulary. Also, within the new environment that we live in, and things are changing all the time, particularly in the last couple of weeks, we all know that, with the EU, etc. But we also have police crime commissioners now. We've had one already. That incumbent crime commissioner has lost his position in recent elections, and a chap called Michael Lane has taken his position as police crime commissioner. He's got a background of, I think he was a Commodore in the Navy, and then was a Conservative council with Gospel, Conservative MP. So he's won the recent elections for the police crime commissioner for Hampshire and the Isle of Wight Constabulary, and now looks after various roles within that, and has a sort of overriding thing of ensuring the police are doing the right things at the right time. So new faces with regards our representation in the constabulary. A few other things that are happening within direct policing involvement. I'm based at Parkgate, and my opposite number is based in Fareham Town Centre. We run the neighbourhood teams. That's the teams that look at long-term problems, whether it's just neighbour disputes, whether it's follow-up calls on domestic violence, child sexual exploitation, or various other particular priorities and roles that we've got. That's the sort of things that we do, the long-term stuff. We also have a team called the Response and Patrol team. They're the ones that deal with the day-to-day policing. If a fight happens in West Street, they'll be called to it. If something, the fast action going there and then. Quite often, after they've finished resolving an issue, they might pass the problem on to us because there's a long-term problem with a young child at the address who's not behaving properly or whatever it is. But that's where our background role comes in. A lot of people, like yourselves, may know us because we've come into the street trying to resolve long-term problems. Our Response and Patrol team have actually relocated from Fareham. Again, this is all part and parcel of the austerity cuts and trying to make us more streamlined and efficient. And they've gone down the A32 to Fareham Reach, which is the same little estate as where the go-karting track is on. I don't know if you know that one. So that's midway between Fareham and Gosport, because previously we used to have a team at Gosport and a team at Fareham. They both got amalgamated and were based at Fareham, and now they've been moved to a rented accommodation at Fareham Reach. So again, changes again. That's all been refurbished for them to run from there, and that's been open now about 1 month. From my point of view, as a team, we've got various priorities that we have to look at. One of the things we do on a regular basis is basically a mapping exercise where we look at the whole of our area and we ensure that we know everything that's going on in the area, whether it's local scout groups, ethnic minority groups, or whatever. We do a mapping exercise to ensure that we know where everything is, we know the contact name, telephone number, and we've made contact with that group. Because one of the things that we have to try and ensure that we're doing on a long-term basis is checking vulnerability, looking after ethnic groups, looking after all groups of different shapes and sizes, so that everybody is treated equally, and we can ensure that we've got a community that's working together as one. Claire, come on in, have yourself to a seat.
Thank you, sorry,
that's okay. Another thing we do and take very seriously is something called Operation Liberal. Most projects that we take on are given a title, and normally an operation title. Op Liberal is to try and protect, again, the vulnerable, not necessarily elderly, but it's doorstep crime. So if people come to you and say you've got a tile loose, they'll say they'll fix it for £60. By the time they've gone up the ladder, there's a few more tiles apparently they come loose and it's £200. Next thing you know, they're redoing your tarmac and your drive and it's £1,000. Those sort of things you probably hear quite a lot go in the news. It does happen, and sadly it does seem to happen quite regularly. We try to raise the profile of this to ensure any vulnerable people, older people generally, are aware, protected, have a contact number, contact name, etc. And any calls of that suspicious nature are dealt with by ourselves and Fair and Trading Standards, normally as a partnership. Fair and Trading Standards will quite often highlight that problem to us, or we'll highlight information to them and work together as a team to try and address those sort of issues of people being vulnerable, being taken advantage of. And I think it's one of those sort of horrible crimes really, where you hear of somebody being put in a car, taken to a cash point, and all of a sudden £800 gone out of their account, and it really doesn't sit well with anybody. So we've been quite positive in our targeting of that crime, and it's an ongoing project that will probably, I can't imagine it stopping, because you're never going to stop that sort of crime. Just to let you know that we are addressing those sort of problems. If you do ever have that sort of problem yourself, or you know anybody in the street that may be having visitors that you would perhaps suggest aren't worthy, then give the police a call on 101 or Trading Standards, or talk to the old person if you want to give them some support or advice, etc. But it's only really working together that we can address these areas. Another area Hampshire Constabulary spent a lot of money on is child sexual exploitation. Sadly, it seems to be something that's raising its head and becoming a significant problem. Hampshire Constabulary spent a lot of money on a conference at Southampton Football Club, whereby they invited a psychologist, very well-known international psychologist, along, and a host of different groups from doctors, nurses, and other people, fire brigade, anybody that will interface with members of the public. And the whole idea of the conference was that we raised awareness of it, awareness of the type of people that may be involved in that, the type of situations, etc. And raising awareness to all these different groups who interface with the public will make us realise, instead of just stopping a car with a person in it and a couple of children in the back, and assume that that's the son and daughter of the person, we might ask a few more questions. I know it sounds obvious now, but a lot of times you do traffic stops or you visit houses and you're not necessarily looking for the indicators that would suggest that there's a problem in that house or in that car. So a lot of money has been spent in that aspect of policing, and it's something that's quite high profile for us. Just to let you know that also once a month we join hands with Ferry Borough Council in a professionals meeting. The idea of that meeting is that in the previous 30 days we've sent information off to the council. They send it around to all medical people, for example, and other groups, housing groups, youth groups, and they will contribute their input to a particular problem. So if we've got a problem with, say, a youth nuisance in Lockseat District Centre, we'll put that forward as a problem. This memo will circulate around, and all the groups can contribute to say how they can help in trying to address that problem. We then have the meeting, and we put our heads together to try and work out a good solution that's going to be nice and efficient, work effectively, contact parents, whatever the ideas are and the contributions, but you can normally be self-assured that you're going to walk out of the meeting ticking a few boxes, knowing that another problem is either solved or is on its way to be solved. Those are generally the bigger problems. Obviously the quick, short problems we can address as police there and then when we're on a situation. But those sort of larger, longer-term problems, we try and get the different groups, housing associations, for example, involved, and then we can all work together to try and provide a positive solution that's going to be to the satisfaction of everyone. An example of that one would be the recent travellers we had in Stubbington, where the council took the lead, and even though it was a little bit of a process, believe me, it was a lot quicker than a lot of traveller encampments that I've had in the past. So we don't just work single-handedly, we try and work together with other agencies to effect a positive solution. Done several drug warrants in the last 3 months, most of which have been positive. That's a relative sort of expression really, because you can come out with quite a significant haul of drugs, or you can come out with just a couple of wraps of cocaine or something, but that's all proved quite positive from the information and intelligence that that led to those warrants being taken place. Year on year, we've had quite a good reflection of our burglaries in the area. Unfortunately, in Salisbury at the moment, we've got a spate of what we call non-dwelling burglaries, so not house burglaries, but sheds and garages. And we've probably had up to about 15 breaks over the last 2 weeks in that area and in the adjoining Bittern area. So we're quite confident it's probably a group from Southampton coming across, hitting them and hitting us. So overnight, bicycles and power tools are being targeted, so they're breaking the locks on sheds, breaking the locks on garages at night, or open garages, unfortunately, and then just taking what they want. Got our eyes on some people, and we're out proactively patrolling at night to see if we can catch them. But in and around this area, it's been quite positive with regards to levels of burglaries. Things to highlight to you. Are you anybody not aware of Hampshire Alerts and what that is? Okay. It's a system. Previously with the old neighbourhood watches, we used to send out emails to them on a semi-regular basis. But now we've got a scheme, it's if you like a modern scheme where the neighbourhood watch and anybody can get up-to-date information on what's happening in your area, in the general area, or even elsewhere. You go online and subscribe to it. Within the subscription, you tick what you're interested in. For example, burglaries in Catisfield, robberies in Catisfield, that sort of thing. So you can choose what you want information on. And we, as a constabulary, if we've got a problem like that, we will send out a Hampshire Alert, which is just an email to your email address, and you'll get an update. The update will give you a summary of what the problem is and actions to take. So it's quite a positive sort of way of learning what's going on in your area. It gives you a bit of an insight as to what you may be able to do in a crime prevention mode. So I've got a few leaflets which I'll pass out, and you can have a look at that and just have a look online. It's the only way to do it online, unfortunately. If you haven't got a computer, it won't be of interest. But that's how now we keep people up to date with what's happening in the area of crime. Another example would be there was a quite significant crash in Gosport tonight, and we sent out a Hampshire Alert to everybody just to let them know where the crash was, so that instead of getting stuck in traffic, they can be aware of it and go around it. So it's quite simple, quite easy, doesn't cost us anything, it's just emails, so it's quite an effective solution to getting information out there and trying to prevent crime or help the community.